Hey guys, just up top, I just want to give you all a huge thank you for all the amazing reviews that I've got on my book, whether it's published to a book site or sent to me in person. I really appreciate it because I was so nervous when I published this book that it would be not well received. I guess I wrote a lot of personal information in the book, and it was really vulnerable and challenging for me to put this all out there, and I am just so thankful that it has helped even like one person. That's so incredible. So if you do read the book and you do like it, please let me know, and it just makes me feel like I'm getting a big warm hug from the inside. So before we get into the episode, I just had to say thank you to everyone who have given me your kind, wonderful words about it. And a reminder to everyone else who hasn't got the book, you can get it wherever you get your books and read along with us. But without further ado, let's get into the podcast. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of How to Conserve Conservationists. I'm Jessie, I'm here with Todd, and today we're going to be talking about chapter number 7, How Many Fish Are Really in the Sea? Which, as you might be able to imagine from my creative title, it's about relationships.
I thought it was about the overfishing of the oceans.
No, not exactly. I love how a lonely conservationist went through this book with her mum over FaceTime because her mum got the book and they're just looking at all the chapter titles. So I like that people have, like, I don't know if respected is the right word, but appreciated the diversity and creativity of my chapter title. It brings me joy. You might be thinking, why the hell would you have a chapter about relationships in a book about conserving conservationists? And I think it's a part of conservation that people often don't think about as much, but I feel like it affects a lot of people. Especially one guy in the beginning of Lonely Conservationist asked me...
Especially this one poor guy.
Well, no.
Find a partner.
Well, there's many hints. Okay, that one of the second blog ever submitted to Lonely Conservationist was about a long distance relationship, and that was like the most pivotal issue in her conservation journey, was managing that relationship. And another guy messaged me right at the beginning of Lonely Conservationist to say, "Hey Jessie, is it possible to have a conservation career that's successful and a successful relationship at the same time?" So it means that it's playing on people's minds. And it did play on my mind when I was growing up as well. But it must be interesting for you because, like, our relationship has probably been the most successful relationship in your life, and it is with a conservationist. You're bucking the norm.
Yeah. I think we're okay.
I hope so. Just airing our dirty laundry over a public podcast. But what's interesting is that I was very adamant that we shouldn't be together in our relationship because I knew I was going to leave the country for 6 months to do my honours degree. Yeah. And I was like, this is going to be a huge issue. I don't want to be apart from someone that long. Like, no, listen.
I remember pursuing you romantically and we seemed to get on fine. But you were just like, yeah, but like, nah, it's just not going to work.
My lifestyle says no.
And I was like, why? Like, well, I'm going to another country for the next 6 months. That's going to put a downer in the relationship. Like, long distance, it probably never works, right? What's the point?
You know how I communicated that to Todd?
Oh, yeah. Very formally?
Do you want to talk about it?
Do I? Well, I'm not sure what prompted. It was completely unprompted. You wrote me a letter. And there was a letter of like 20 reasons why we shouldn't be together. And
I sent it to him in the mail, like addressed it. I didn't just hand him the letter.
Like with dolphin stationery.
That's the stationery I had at the time.
And so I received it and I don't know. I thought it was the sweetest thing in the world because at the end of it, it also had a drawing of a giraffe in a bikini.
As so, you do.
I thought it was a bit playful.
Like to soften the blow. I can't be with you for these 20 reasons, but here's a consolation giraffe in a bikini.
I think that's worse than being dumped by text message, handwritten letter. It feels, I don't know. You don't take it seriously. I didn't. I was like, no, I'll be fine. Let's give it a go. And you're like, okay.
He just messages me after he receives the letter, like, got your letter. It was the cutest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that backfired.
And then we said this like multiple times. He proceeded to quit his job, buy a passport, and just come with me. So when it comes to love, I think if it's real, nothing can stand in the way, not even a letter of all the reasons why you shouldn't be together.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of a bit of example of like, both of us have to like change a bit of our careers in order to be together.
Because what am I doing now?
Yeah. Like I quit my job to spend more time with you, and vice versa. You've given up opportunities to spend more time with me.
Packed up my life in Adelaide. Just packed it up.
Well,
and came over here.
It worked out not too bad.
I know, I have a better life in Melbourne, most definitely. What's been the
but
coolest...
like, that's sort of a relationship in like, even for normal people.
Yeah, it's compromise.
It's pretty like big life-changing compromises.
Yeah, I think the thing is that I got really sick of long distance. So if you read the book, you will see that I went away to Indonesia. I was apart from Todd for 4 months.
Can you explain our whole practicalities of our relationship?
I guess. I think it is good to make sense. It's good to go through to people to understand. But like, we were apart for, out of the 6 months, we spent the last 4 months together. Or I was there for 4 months and we spent the last 2 months together.
Yeah, I rocked up halfway through your masters.
So we did a couple of months there long distance, and then afterwards I found another job in New South Wales, which I talked about previously, where I thought I was going to be apart from Todd for a year. And the plan at the time was that Todd would look for a job in Canberra and we'll kind of meet halfway on the weekends.
Yeah, we'll be in like neighbouring cities at least.
That didn't end up happening because obviously I hightailed it out of that job, and luckily Todd doesn't live in Canberra. No offense to all the people that live in Canberra, but I just think I couldn't live with her.
I think I have a better job in Canberra, to be fair. Maybe we should uproot our lives again.
For those who are outside of Australia, Canberra's sole purpose is to exist as like a government hub. Like it's the Australian Capital Territory, and it just like, it's very government-y.
It's the government capital, but not in any way, shape or form like the nexus of the country.
Yeah, it's a weird place. Anyway, so after that time, I was like, I was finding it really hard in New South Wales to be apart from Todd at that stage. I think like in the beginning it was easier to do long distance, but as we grew in our relationship, it got really hard. And then I was like, okay, never again. I'm going to stay. I'm going to try find opportunities in Australia, like where Todd is. When I moved to Melbourne with Todd, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to have like a more stable life. Next minute, his job is to go fly around the country doing all these jobs.
So then my Melbourne job requires lots of travel.
So then like he became the long distance one.
Yeah.
I was panicking because they were about to send him to Adelaide for like a year or like 6 months just before COVID hit. And if it wasn't for COVID, he would be there right now. And I was like so stressed that I would be going through like a quarantine stage by myself. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
But like, as I said in the blog, the second blog ever was about long distance relationships, and they've cropped up again and again. And just the feeling of having to either sacrifice your work and to find like a quote unquote normal job working at the local Target or like be a barista or something, so you don't have to travel to find opportunities to like save your relationship, or do you make your relationship like suffer or put a strain on it by pursuing your dreams and traveling to get the opportunities you want? So I think it's a real thing that people think about all the time.
Well, it's almost a bit representative of like the rest of your life. So if you spend most of your time traveling, well, it depends what conservation you're doing, but a lot of it can feel like you're just traveling all the time. And you don't feel like you're at a home all the time.
It's hard to find opportunities. They're so few and far between. So you have to just take them wherever they are.
Yeah, like you did.
Yeah.
And then that makes it hard to have like a permanent home with a partner, or even with like a normal life and friends and family.
Yeah. What is good about traveling though, like when Todd does his short weekly stints, is I think it improves the relationship in the way it makes you like want the other one to come back. Like you're not just together all the time, so it's still like new, fresh and exciting.
Well, now we had like coronavirus lockdown for months. We're a bit sick of each other being in the house.
Are you sick of me?
I think we got on each other's nerves after years of being together. Now that we're stuck together.
So maybe like sometimes traveling is the key to a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
But it's just hard when it's like a long stint, like I'm going to do this job for years, or like I'm going away for 6 months. Like a few weeks is fine, and that like is enough time to miss each other, but I think it's really challenging to be away for so long.
There's a spider on the desk. I'm not okay with this.
Oh, it's a little cutie. It's a jumping spider. I thought you liked them.
Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Okay, yeah, he's cute.
Yeah, he's really cute.
He can stay.
I'm glad we sorted that out. I guess the other part of relationships that I've noticed in conservation, I don't know if Todd will have much of an insight on this. Maybe. It's kind of like school camps where you go away, just say you're on like a volunteer camp or like a SAT camp or something where you're like volunteering in a remote location and there's a lot of volunteers and people from around the world. It gets a bit like promiscuous, like it's a bit band camp situation because you have all these people from all over the world who suddenly feel like they're in a unique situation where they're so detached from the outside world, like nothing they do can have consequences there.
Starts to feel like Love Island.
Love Island. Love Island. I feel like conservationists either are like doing committed long term and really struggling with that, or they're just like being very promiscuous, but that also comes with a cost, a lot of cost actually.
Well, yeah, it's the same problem but the opposite. If you both go to like some tropical island to research turtles or something and you spend 6 months looking at them and like, you know, you might develop a relationship with someone there and then the research is over, like, all right, now we go home, you know, you go back to Australia, they go back to France, I assume.
We only love French people.
Who else are you going to fall in love with such a small amount of time? And then it's like, well, how do we have a relationship if one of us lives in Australia and one lives in another country?
Yeah, there's that.
Are we
there's
ever
like
going to see each other again?
The visas and like who gets to keep their family and friends and life and set up and who has to learn a new language and
like,
settle into a new culture.
Like...
Yeah. And then there's that like committed relationship. Oh my god, Todd is still looking for the spider. He's over here. It's fine. For anyone listening, it's like a little cute brown jumping spider scuttling around. Scuttling?
What do spiders do? Crawling?
No, it's not crawling. That makes it sound
crawling.
like he's a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby.
Like racing around the desk. Ever since that episode where I talked about the spider scientist, there's been no spider scientist coming to me to say...
To defend their industry.
Yeah, or to be like, Jessie, I'm here if you ever need to ask me a spider question at any time.
If someone tells me I like spiders, I distrust them immediately.
Well, how come we're in a relationship? And you know I like spiders.
You like cute ones like this one.
I like all spiders. It's my dream to hold like a... What are they called? A tarantula? Because they're like little teddy bears with 8 legs.
They are not like teddy bears.
Anyway, we are getting very sidetracked by this spider. What I was saying is like there's that kind of like when you meet people on an island, and then there's when you just like sleeping around playing the field on the island, where like the relationship ends because you know you're gonna go home, so you like get with whoever's coming, because there's like influxes of volunteers, people coming in and out all the time, especially if you're long-term staff or something.
Yeah.
And then you know it's going to end because either they're going to go or you're going to go. I guess people assume it's going to be like that. They're just like, when in Rome, let's play Never Have I Ever. But then I know 2 occasions where people who have met each other on these camps have got married. So it is definitely possible to meet people.
I might have just been projecting. I can't imagine like sleeping with someone for 6 months and not catching feelings.
Yeah, that's because you're a little mush.
Mush. I am romantic, yes.
Is this what you're projecting to everyone? Like,
yeah.
Yes, I am Todd, the most romantic.
Yeah, but it's a different thing though, right?
Yeah.
So even if you are, you know, getting with people and, you know, like that's all fine, and you still might be like, man, I wish I had, you know, a bit of a long-term relationship though, but you'll be fearful that won't happen. Everybody's
priorities are different, and I think there's a big risk is like, if you are one of those people that take your short-term relationship where you're working and living on the same island in the same camp, if you take it to the real world, you as a couple haven't experienced the real world pressures of like paying the bills, living in a house together, like just life, friend groups, blah blah. Like it's such a controlled situation when you're in a camp.
It might feel like a different relationship then.
Yeah.
You try to take it back to the real world.
So like, what if you go to the real world? You get like you take the time to get visas, and that's really challenging to get visas. You like leave your family, you go to a new country, you try to set up a new life. Realize the relationship was only good in this controlled situation, and you'll feel kind of stuck in this new life.
So you've listed a whole bunch of problems that conservationists face in this area. Solutions. What?
I don't know.
What have you learned?
I can't give advice because I'm like, Todd, we can't be together. Here's a list of 20 reasons why with a giraffe in a bikini picture to soften the blow. Then that just made it work for me. And that's not like...
Your advice is to find someone who's a little bit slow on the uptake.
Yeah.
Doesn't notice that you're saying, nah, this isn't going to work.
But what was actually also good is I didn't know how this was going to go. I was kind of freaking out when Todd came to Indonesia because, like, field work, you talk about poop all the time. You are pooping all the time. You're your sweatiest, dirtiest, leech-coveredest. Like, you're the, like, not the worst version of yourself, but you're the most primal version of yourself.
Yeah.
If you're in that honeymoon stage, they're going to see everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So I think that was, like, a very
You told me, you walked past me in the toilet once and you've never seen me the same again.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Your attitude towards me is never...
This was so early on in our relationship. There's so many times where I was like, this, I would expect to see this like 50 years down the track. Not months, not mere months. But it's like, that is a good way of cementing your relationship. Like if you can survive like tough situations and if you're still attracted to them, even seeing them on the toilet.
Yeah.
Like if you have like Todd, I heard like a smash in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m, and I get up to find Todd lying on the floor. Like he had passed out from this tropical illness.
I was very sick.
He was very, very sick, and I didn't know what to do because I know like in Australia you call 000, but like what the hell do you call in Indonesia?
Which horrifies me because there is a number to call.
Like an international
You can
number.
call in. We're in a city. We're not like in the middle of the rainforest.
But in my brain, I was, because I was 2 a.m,
phone
I was like,
reception.
I was imagining in my brain,
Yeah.
I'd walk into the bathroom and there'd be your cracked skull and blood everywhere because I heard something hit the ceramic of the toilet.
I fainted in the bathroom. So yeah, my head banged into the tiles and I was very surprised. I couldn't, and luckily I woke up.
Yeah.
I asked you if, like, is my brain everywhere? You're like, nah, you're fine. I'm like, oh, okay then. And then I tried to get up and I felt terrible and I couldn't tell if it was like, yeah, this tropical illness making me feel terrible or like having concussion.
Yeah, it's like if you've gone through all of this where like their life might be in your hands. You've seen them like vomiting and pooping and like out in the field complaining there's no chairs to sit on. Like if you can survive that with someone, that is a good test to see what the rest of your lives together is like. So
yeah,
almost,
we came out of that very confident that
very strong.
we can get on with each other.
I almost recommend it. Like, this is what I write in the book, is that that's a good thing about conservationist relationships. Like, just say we met in Indonesia and we instantly saw each other. Like, I never wore makeup. I was in grotty field clothes. Like, you're seeing me for who is like the most disgusting version of me. And if you can love me at that,
yeah, but it's
you
also
can love me
you
anyway.
like being your most yourself, you know.
That's true.
Out in the middle of the forest, sweating profusely in the heat.
With my chin sweat.
With chin sweat.
I hate chin sweat. Chin sweat is the worst kind of sweat.
But like you're there with your clipboard, you're taking, you know, notes, trying to find these elephants. Like that's you in your prime.
That's
as well.
actually so cute because I never thought of that before. I'm like, oh, Todd has to see me at this disgusting way. But then you're like, this is Jessie. This is like Jessie in her element. And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
attractive to me. Which is so surreal. Like, I think this is how...
I've never seen you so like confidently in control of a situation where I'm there next to you and I'm completely not in control and freaking out.
You can't understand what anyone is
saying.
saying.
I don't know what everyone's saying. I'm like panicked that, you know, I'm going to get eaten by some kind of jungle creature and you're just there in most confident. Like, that's pretty cool.
Aww. But I guess, like, if you're in that situation with someone, like, for instance, when I was there with my field staff a month earlier, I spent every waking hour with them. We wake up before the sunrise. We walk to the orangutan nest. At the orangutan nest, we'll eat breakfast while we wait for the orangutan to wake up, and they'll eat their breakfast. Then we follow the orangutan all day till it builds its night nest, goes to sleep, and we go back home. We eat dinner together, we hang out, and then we go to sleep.
It sounds a bit stalkerish.
It did feel like that.
It did feel
It did,
stalkerish.
because orangutans are, like, the size of people, and they are, like, so human.
They're on their own a lot. They don't just hang out in groups normally.
I really felt like I was stalking her. It felt wrong to just watch this mother look after her children.
What were you hoping to glean?
Oh, we're just doing behavioural studies. So, like, we just sat there and recorded what she did all day. It is stalkerish.
Yeah. Binoculars and a
But then we lost them, and then we spent, like, the rest of the month just trying to find them again. Because she didn't like us following them.
Yeah.
So she got up early, moved location, and went, because she knew that we followed her every day. So she could, like, trick us.
That's the most interesting behaviour displayed so far.
So then we spend the rest of the month trying to find her again, but it was really hard, because even though they're bright orange, they're actually very challenging to find. So yeah, I guess what I mean is, like, if you're with someone for that long, and, like, just say you're two people that spend every waking hour for a month together, it's kind of hard not to form any kind of relationship. Like, in the beginning, I didn't understand a lick of these guys' language. I didn't know my role as a woman in a Muslim country, especially in like a pondok, which is the cabin with only men.
Yeah, it was a weird situation.
I had to form some kind of relationship with them, whether it be friend or, like, just, like, colleague. I don't know. Like, I was the most strange person I could have ever been, but by the end of it, we were buddies. I was, like, part of the little family. So I think, like, it's hard in those respects not to form relationships.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So dubious. But, like, I don't know, I think everyone's different. Like, some people like having an option for different partners. Like, they don't want to settle down, and their career is more important than relationships, which is what I thought I was, but I was sorely mistaken. And then there's people like Todd that's like, well, if I'm going to be with you for 6 months, I'm going to really like you, and you can't get away from me. Like, I'm in this for the long haul. So I can't stereotype relationships at all, because everybody has such different perspectives of what they need in their life, what gives them fulfillment, what makes them happy, what they want, if they want a family, if they have, like, the pressure of their families on them. Like, there's just so many factors that come into play.
There's plenty of people who have, like, you know, fairly I don't want to say, like, normal, but, like, static life jobs.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't got, you know, a new travel trip to study a different animal every 6 months. But, like, even then, they were like, oh, I'm just really passionate about my career, you know, I haven't got time for a relationship.
Like a lawyer or someone that's really busy all the time.
Sometimes it's not even a lawyer. It's like a fairly normal job that could totally... You could incorporate a relationship, they just don't.
I'm just picturing this, like, stereotypical lawyer that's like, okay, I got to prep for these cases, I'm doing this pro bono work. Like, in my brain, my mind jumps to lawyer, like,
yeah,
just being the busiest person. But I guess doctor or something as well. If sometimes it might be hard if you're on and off, or like a paramedic. You could have long day shifts, long night shifts. Sometimes you're a bit nocturnal because of the shifts you're doing. It would be hard to find somebody that aligns with your shifts. Like, even our friend works for Channel 9, and he was doing a lot of night shifts, and that posed challenges in his relationship. Just finding someone that's okay with shift work. So I think if you have a static relationship, if you have a static work schedule that's predictable, there still could be, like, the amount of work and the times you work that still impact your ability to have relationships. Like, it's not just conservationists that impact it, is what you're getting at, I guess.
Yeah. But, like, I was trying to get at, like, you could not have any of those problems and just not find relationships is important.
Okay, my friend...
But I think conservationists, they're super passionate about what they do, right?
Do you want to know some tea?
So plenty of them are like, I'm just super passionate about this, like, you know, I haven't got time.
I don't need no man, I have giraffes, and giraffes are my life.
Man or lady, yeah. Giraffes are my love interest.
I don't need no person, I have giraffes. They're better than all humans.
Understandable opinion to have.
Okay, I've got some hot tea to spill.
Okay.
My friend works for a company, a popular
really spilling the tea.
a
Of this particular
popular.
person.
I don't know how much is like good to say. Like, okay, he works for a media company where you have accounts.
What?
Like he works for a company where they call up and they're like, I've got these subscriptions, can you help me out? I think they're taking money out of my account. I don't know if I'm using this or this. Like people, you know how you pay for, you're like, I'll test this app, and then there's actually like a payment that starts after the 30-day free trial, and you're like, shit, I didn't want to pay, but I forgot to cancel it before the free trial. So they ring up, they're like, please cancel the subscription.
Right.
Okay, he works for one of these places.
He's the guy that picks up the phone.
He's the guy that picks up the phone. A guy was like, I'm having trouble with this app. He did exactly that. He was paying. Oh no, he did a free trial and he didn't want to pay, but he forgot to like unsubscribe or cancel the subscription before the pay wall started. You understand? You following? Anyway, my friend looks at his account. He is paying to use every single dating app. He could even fathom. Like Plenty of Fish, like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, like every dating, OkCupid. He was paying for all of them. And not even just using them casually, like actively paying to use them. Yeah. It would have cost him, my friend worked it out, like over $100 a month to date.
That might be worth it.
But
if you're keen to get a lady.
Or a man. Or a non-binary person.
Doesn't... I don't know enough about it, but doesn't Tinder and stuff, if you're a lady, it's free, but if you're a man, they'll like have things that you need to pay extra if you want to like use them more.
I think it's extra.
Because they know.
Or something. I heard that too.
Guys are more interested in trying to find someone.
I heard that too, but I think I was watching a video the other day where two women were trying to do some experiment on Tinder, and they did have to pay for Pro to change their location or like do extra stuff. Like you can pretend to be in France and be like, yes, French boy. If you just want to talk to them but not have the commitment of meeting up, if they're like, come over, let's Netflix and chill, and you're like, sorry, I'm Australian.
Did you tell me this, or did I hear from someone else? I don't know this person. It's a friend of a friend. They are a lady. They put themselves on Tinder and they'll change their location every week.
You heard that from our friend.
From our friend?
Yeah.
And then they'll chat with some guys and somehow trick the guys into like buying her things or sending her money.
No, it wasn't that.
Then she'll change her location to a different city and do it again for another week somewhere else.
She just wanted what I was saying before, to talk to people without the commitment of them like pressuring her to meet up. She just wanted that freedom to be like, I'm not even anywhere near you. We cannot physically see each other. She just wanted to talk to people.
Okay. Well, everyone wants different things, don't they?
I found out there's a sugar daddy website where you can sign up like, I want to be a sugar baby, and here's my wish list of here's my wish list of items that I want you to buy me. And you can tick all the things that you want to do, like you're okay with like sexual favors, or you just want to go out to dinner, or you just want to be like...
It's all above board like that. Everyone's on the same page.
It's very consensual, and then you can pay extra to find out their ethnicity, their background, like do a background check, all this stuff. Okay. Like you pay extra to be more specific about the person or the people that you solicit on there.
Okay.
Well, maybe if you're a poor conservationist, like I'm not recommending this, but I wonder like, this is something I did. I looked up...
You set up an OnlyFans?
No, I didn't. Don't look for that. It doesn't exist. I actually looked up, back in Adelaide, way before I met you.
What?
I looked up a stripper application just to see what you needed to do.
What it takes?
Yeah, what it takes. I was
if you went to a stripper, would they be like, alright, hop on the pole? Or would they say, nah, you can't do it?
Because too many people have been like... we earn nothing in conservation, I'll just take up stripping. Like, it was
It's a bit of a joke?
Such a running joke that I actually looked it up.
Or like a little bit real.
You need to submit a full body shot.
Yeah.
Already. Biggest hurdle.
That's your job day in, day out, I thought.
What? Submitting full body shot?
Mostly naked in
front
of people.
But like, okay, if that's the case and they need to judge your body...
Yeah.
how, like...
Well, they don't want ugly people.
People come in all shapes and sizes, right? Like, men surely don't only want one, or women don't only want one, like, type of body. Like, is...
Yeah, but if you're paying money to see attractive women...
Yeah, but what is attractive? Surely just, like, a stick-thin person with straightened hair and ginormous boobs is not, like, the epitome of sexy.
Pinnacle.
Like, there must be other body types and shapes. Like, I was like, I can't do it already, like, out of the question. I can't strip even if I wanted to. My body is not the creme de la creme of this classic stripper stereotype. But there must be, like, more voluptuous women
well, that's
who
why
are
they're
desirable.
all going online, right? So if you go to your, like, local stripper joint, they'll be like, they have to cater to the widest audience, right? But if you go online, the whole internet, you know, billions of people, you might find 1 million people who are super into, you know, your gigantically fat ankles or something.
What are you saying about my ankles?
No, it's yours. But, like, you know, you'll find your niche.
That's true.
Of audience.
I think that's why OnlyFans has got so prevalent at this day and age, because, like, people have more of a diversity of preferences now. People aren't ashamed to like big ankles anymore.
Well, if they're online in the privacy of their web browser, they won't admit to it.
Is it a shame? Like, I go to a strip club and I'm ashamed if I'm not attracted to all these, like, stick-thin, beautiful women because that's what the guys next to me expect me to like.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is, like, so off the radar. I'm not suggesting if you can't make an income from conservation to get into stripping or OnlyFans, but...
Just get sugar daddies. That's what you're
like,
saying.
if you can sign up to a website and just get gifts, like, if you could just get Louis Vuitton handbags, like, shipped to you just for talking to a person, like, is that a way to support our conservationist lifestyle? I don't know. And, like...
What a weird state the world is in.
On a, like, more real note, like, I could not have... I can't survive my current lifestyle if I didn't live with Todd. So, like, realistically, having a partner that...
Yeah, you're here criticising sugar babies.
I am one. Like, realistically, everybody asks me, like, they have a conversation, oh, you're doing such great stuff, blah, blah, blah. Also, like, how are you supporting yourself? And I'm like, oh, thankfully I have a partner with a stable job. Like, I feel so... This is, like, a source of shame for me, actually, is that I have, like, I'm so feminist, and I'm so, like, empowering women, but I have to live with the fact that I, despite everything I'm doing, can't pay my own bills.
Yeah. It's hard to have it all. Like, how do you do the good stuff that needs to happen, but, like, you know, capitalism doesn't pay for it?
Yeah.
Doesn't, like, every woman face this with, like, if they choose to have kids, it's gonna affect their career.
Yeah.
No matter, like, how trying, like, fair and, you know, some countries have proper laws to look after you, but, like, you're gonna be on a disadvantage.
I love how they're introducing, paternity leave as well. So they give the choice for the man to take time off and look after the kid, or just parental leave, so both parties can take the time off. Like, a lot of places have just flat out stopped calling it maternity leave to mitigate that problem, and so it's acceptable for men to take 6 months off to look after the children. Because I was messaging somebody the other day, and he just got back from parental leave or paternity leave. So it is a thing that's happening, and I think a lot of universities I know have this program where they're trying to make gender more equitable in STEM. So I think a huge part of that is incorporating paternity leave and giving the men the same rights to stay home with their newborn, so women can actually go to work straight away if they want to.
I guess that's pretty much the fix, right? Just make it more equal, so then, like,
you can just
you don't
choose.
just have one gender being disadvantaged.
Yeah, because if he's staying home, then his wife can go off, or a partner, whatever, can go off and keep working.
I'm only assuming. I know you're also only heard and assuming, because this isn't a problem for you. Of, like, you know, if I'm going to be as, you know, strong, independent, feminist lady, should I have a massive career, be the CEO, or should I, you know, have a family? What's the pinnacle of what my life should be?
Even my friend was like, I want to get into academia, I want to do a PhD, I'm so worried about that conflicting with having a family. But then she saw her really amazing, empowering supervisor raise 2 children while she was like doing that role. So I think having people in that position that are good role models and say like, it's okay, you can do it. Because when I was in my undergrad, I had a really amazing lecturer who I really looked up to, and she's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't publish I had no citations from this year to this year because I was giving birth and looking after my child. I was like, stop apologizing or making excuses and like blah blah, like you're allowed to have children, you don't have to be getting citations all the time. And I know in academia it's publish or perish, but people take that really hard, like, oh, I was suffering from here to here because I had a child. Like she had to justify that to a group of undergraduate scientists. Like what the hell?
And like, yeah, at an individual level you can just be like, oh, I had a kid, so you know, obviously my professional career's slowed down a bit. Like, it's very understandable. But yeah, from someone looking out just at the career, they're like, oh, this is a big gap.
Yeah.
But that's what I was trying to tie it back to, of like, you know, it feels like quite often you can't have it all.
True.
And for the relationships of like, you know, conservationists might want to go study giraffes heaps, but also really, really wants, you know, a little house with a family and a dog and stuff. And like I both want that, but it seems mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that's true. And also like, just say if you're supporting me and I'm not earning any money, there's like this guilt of like, I can't do anything. Like we were exactly talking about this morning. Todd was like, Jessie, everything that you buy, you feel like you have to justify, like I bought bed sheets for us. I even buy clothes that both of us can wear. Like we wear the same wardrobe. Like we're basically the same size. Yeah. And like it started off as I'd buy clothes for me and Todd would just steal them. But now I'm like, well, I bought clothes, but like we can both wear them. I just say you wear
very manly clothes.
Or do I wear very feminine clothes that
I just
wear?
love your clothes.
So basically, like Todd was saying, everything I do kind of for me or for fun, like it has to be justified as I'm contributing to the family. Like
But like there's a practical need for this.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a hobby of yours, you're like, oh, I really want to read this book as like a way to, you know,
increase
pass the time. But you're like, no, I have to justify it as like, you know, this is helping my career knowledge and things.
Or like I am just like taking time out for 2 seconds and that's helping me chill for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you start doing that.
But like even so, Todd bought a camera, like which is now basically my birding camera, but I was like, no, it's both of our cameras. Like if you bought it, it's an expensive purchase, we're both using it, even though realistically I'm the only one that really uses it. So it's like,
yeah, it's your camera.
If I don't use, like if I'm not bringing any financial things to the table, it's like it's hard for me to just treat myself and chill because it's not really my money that I'm spending. And so there's like the guilt that comes along with that. So it's challenging to, like, I'm so fortunate and I'm so lucky.
It could be worse. You could not be earning any money. I make everything and then you go off and spend it all. Spend all my money on designer handbags.
Clothes you can't wear, sheets you can't sleep in, hammocks you can't lie.
I mean, the fact that you worry about not appearing that way means you're fine.
Well, yeah, I admit I'm so fortunate to even have Todd to help live my life, and I can't imagine what it's like not to have you, because I was just basically going away, living in third world countries where the value of my money was better than coming home before I met Todd.
I think lots of people do that in Western countries. It's a bit weird. They'll like work in their home country for a few months
as a barista, like any job you can get. Yeah.
Get like, you know, a couple of $1,000 and then just spend the rest of the year flying somewhere else where you can survive on $5 a day.
Yeah, like I was making sandwiches, I was selling underwear, I had a range of different jobs.
Yeah.
I would just work casual jobs, then go away, because that's how I could sustain my conservationist lifestyle without Todd. Now, ever since Todd's been here, I've been able to sit down in Melbourne and write a book because I can afford to live in like a Melbourne lifestyle.
Well, that's what we decided, like we're not strapped for cash. So it would be silly for you to like work 40 hours a week making coffees. You'd much rather do your own work that you care about.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is also a factor, like if you are like in my position, but the guilt, like it wasn't COVID, just say you could actually go and work.
Yeah, COVID's a nice extra reason to not have a job.
Like I can't work right now, like I was a teacher and they're like, sorry, schools are shut, no work for you. So I was earning money before, but it wasn't like a large amount. It was still a casual position. But I wonder how many people feel trapped in relationships because, just say this was a toxic relationship, you're earning all the money, they feel like they can't escape.
Plot twist. Like,
if something turbulent happened, I would have to make sure that I could, like, where would I go? I'm in a brand new city, it's locked down. I couldn't go anywhere anyway, like, that's a lockdown problem. Just say it's not locked down. Like, would I have to fly back home to Adelaide? How would I fly? Like, okay, the car...
You're just thinking about it now, I'm panicking.
But, like, how many people who are conservationists and, like, are really strapped for cash and are relying on their partner or working, like, a job that doesn't pay enough, how worried are they that they could be trapped in a turbulent situation?
I think you're describing, like, 90% of abusive relationships,
yeah.
Not just conservationists.
I feel bad for these people.
Yeah, it's rough, right?
It's really rough, especially
so many
quarantine.
people will just flippantly be like, oh, if they treat you badly, just leave. Like, yeah, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, sometimes you can't leave. Yeah. So I hope that everybody listening is in a safe place, a safe, comfortable place.
Yeah.
Because being a conservationist is so hard, and I guess something that comes along with that is paying to work. This is, like, not really about relationships, but the conservation industry, where you are so strapped for cash, it doesn't allow certain people and certain demographics to work in the industry. Some people have to fund for their families, they have to provide, they're the most passionate conservationists ever and they're so skilled, they cannot afford to pursue the industry because I've heard conservation described as like a privileged person's job. You have to be rich or a trust fund baby
I understand what you
to
mean
be able
by
to do
that.
it. Yeah.
Because I know when you told me, hey, just come to Indonesia for 6 months, I was like, well, I can't. If I quit my job, I can't pay rent. If I can't pay rent, I'm homeless.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just afford to mix up my life like that. While you would be like, nah, just, go to this country.
I was living with my parents.
Tens of thousands of dollars a year just on
I did not
travel.
have tens and thousands of dollars.
No, you didn't. You spent it all.
No, I had I worked at Subway where I would get...
Yeah, but if you
listen, I would earn $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I was at uni, so I'd have to, like, pay for stuff. But I did live with my parents, so I didn't have to pay rent. I still had to pay fuel for the car, but I got food on the table every night. So there,
no rent, free food.
Yeah, so that's
already like 60% of a lot of people's
I would
spending.
only save like 5 to 10 grand, and then like spend the next 6 months living somewhere off of that money.
Yeah.
So I didn't consider myself to be rich, but I did have the privilege of living at home and having food on the table. And I didn't, if you know me, I'm a minimalist. Like, I don't spend money really on things. Things stress me out. Never buy me a present. It will give me so much stress. I once had a mental breakdown because my mum bought me a pot for my birthday. I spent the rest of the day like having the biggest mental breakdown.
Did not react well.
Nobody could understand, but I just hate things. And Todd loves things. So it's like, it's hard because he likes to keep things around. Anyway, like, some people might
Tell
have...
us more about how you're not privileged.
Some people, like, might actually enjoy buying games, buying clothes, buying, like, collectibles. Like, that all plays into it, where I saved every scrap of money I had to be in conservation.
Yeah.
Like, it all went to that because it was the only thing I cared about.
Yeah.
But some people...
Because
like,
you didn't have a lot of things and material goods, you definitely didn't feel like you were living the high life.
I was like living out of a backpack. I had like only as many things as I can count, whereas like I could tell you everything I owned. Like Todd always says, you always say you just have like one fun thing and it's your snorkeling kit, and that's the only fun thing you own.
Yeah, it is.
But, like, people have to provide for families. I am very privileged to have had a family that was safe and loving enough to support me. They put food on the table, and I was able to scrap that money. You were living out of home. You had to pay rent. You had to put your own food on the table. It was harder for you to just nip off like I was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so for you to quit your job for me and to fly to a third world country when you never left Australia before was a huge deal. Like, everyone was like, oh, it's like you're in a Bollywood movie. And I was like, oh, I know. But yeah, I just need to acknowledge the fact that not...
Lucky for you, I did not like my job.
It is lucky for me. But, like, I have to say that, like, some people don't have the option to choose their career over relationships. They have to choose relationships because they have to support their family. Like, it's almost a privilege to choose your job over a relationship.
Well, the grass is always greener, right? There's probably plenty of people who are in a family household just fantasizing like, oh man, if only I could, go see the endangered animals and help out. But I'm stuck here with my loving family. And then there's people who are looking after the endangered animals alone in a hut at night, being like, man, I wish I had a family around me.
There's this amazing paragraph from Tammy Matson's book. What's it called? Is it about elephants? Something elephants. Basically, she's lying in a tent in the middle of Africa, and she's like, hears something around her, and this big shadow comes over the tent in the middle of the night. A bull elephant is straddling her tent, like each feet on either side of her, and she's scared for her life. Like, this elephant is standing over her tent. Then he lets out this massive fart, and she's like, that's it, I gotta get a life. Like, I gotta go.
This is not for me anymore. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody has those pinnacle moments where you're like out in the field and an elephant's farting over you and you're like, that's it, I need to find a partner and settle down. This life is ridiculous. I just vividly remember reading that paragraph and being like, I've never experienced this, but my soul knows what it's like to be in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think...
What's your moment that you said, no, I've had enough of this?
I think, like... So this is like... We'll talk about this in the next podcast, but there's something to say about when you're a woman working in the field, it's a bit unsafe sometimes, and you can get field staff propositioning you a lot. So for me, having a partner to say, like, no, don't touch me, I'm owned by a man already, or owned by somebody... It's an easy way to dismiss people if they keep hassling you all the time. Like, This is not from a place of, like, an elephant.
Some people get farted on by elephants, and some people get
just
accosted.
Yeah. But, like, whatever it is for you, maybe some people have these moments. Maybe you don't. Like, there's so many people where relationships are not a priority. But I know I had to mention it in the book because relationships are at least something we consider, at least something that plays on people's minds. Like, for the fact that this guy could even ask me, like, is it even possible to have a relationship and have a conservation, career at the same time? That said a lot to me, that people are, like, actively worried that they'll have to sacrifice one of them, like either a healthy relationship or their time in the industry. So I guess I'd like to end on a positive note where, as I said before, I know two people, like, not two people, I know two couples that have met both in Africa, actually, both in South Africa. If you're looking for love, go to South Africa. Oh my God.
I'm not going to recommend that.
I know another couple that also met in South Africa, but one was a local. All the success stories come from South Africa.
Okay.
Basically, there was I went to South Africa with my best friend at the time, and we were doing 3 different trips. We were going to a vervet monkey foundation, we were going to cheetah rehabilitation place, and then we ended off working with great white sharks in Hansby. I dared her to kiss a guy in Truth or Dare, or Spin the Bottle or something, one of those games you play when you're drunk and, like, with a bunch of people from all over the world.
Yeah. Nothing
Nothing else to do in Africa, except for just get really happy off the marula berries. I dared her to kiss him, and now they're married, and they both live in America. Like, she was from Adelaide too. They both now live happily ever after. Like, you never know that in one of those times where you have a drunken kiss with a volunteer, that could be the rest of your life. And the second one was in the Vervet Monkey Foundation, where there was 2 long-term volunteers. One was from New Zealand, one was from England, and they just lived happily ever after working there together for so long. So
So they both live in the same country now?
Yeah, I think I've lost touch with them, but they were living in New Zealand for a bit. But whenever, because she's a New Zealander, Kiwi, whenever she said my name, she missed the vowel, so she'd be like, Jizz, Jizz. And I was like, stop calling me Jizz. But like, it is definitely possible to have a relationship and to have a career. I mean, like, obviously I am not traveling as much because some people can do long distance when they're in a relationship. I just don't really want to spend 6 months away from Todd anymore. That's fine. Everybody's different. But you can manage both. But I think, as we said before, it's a bit about compromising things. Like, you can't have your dream, young, youthful, conservationist life and your partner has their most best life that they want to live at the same time. Like, you have to like tone your life down a bit to come meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Definitely.
Did you ever have worries about your like potential of getting a relationship, not because of who you are as a person, but because of intrinsic factors like what you wanted to do?
I'm very worried about my chances of relationships because of who I am as a person.
But like other parts of your life, like not even your job, but you're like, oh, I love electric skateboards, and like what if I get in a dangerous accident, or like what if people are turned off? But like I wonder if smokers feel that they're like addicted to nicotine, but they know a lot of people are turned off by smoking. Not that you used to smoke.
Idea. I can't relate to that at all.
But like in your life there's never anything like, oh, I can't choose this career I want to do because it will hinder my chance of finding love.
Nah, I'm a straight white male, so there's no limitations on what I can achieve.
How the other half live. And you say I'm privileged?
I do remember in high school, I was chatting with some people, and there was a lady there, high school girl, and she was like asking guys like, oh, so like, what are you gonna do after high school? And I mentioned how I was, interested in studying electrical engineering, and she's like, oh, does that pay well? I'm like, pays pretty decently. She's like, all right, sweet, you wanna have my boyfriend? We're gonna be together forever.
Were you glad I wasn't like that?
So like,
I was like, oh, you're working.
I got that impression that if you choose, a well-paid career that's easy, you will probably find love even easier.
I wonder how many people think that, like, I'm gonna just do this job, not because I care about it, because it makes the big bucks, get a lady, we're gonna settle down, have 10 million kids.
Make sure you post a Tinder profile with like your car and house.
Your bank account
your
as
bank account
your bio.
As your next,
But this is interesting to say as well. So like Todd is supporting me now, but when I met Todd, obviously he quit his job to come to Indonesia with me. When I got back, I found a job at an underwear store really quickly afterwards, and then I was supporting Todd for about a year.
I didn't have a job,
Yeah, so it's like swing. Oh, sorry if you heard that bunk. I like smacked my elbow into the desk.
Very good.
But it may seem like I'm mooching off Todd, and I totally am. But there's times in our life where, because he had made sacrifices for me, I had funded him. So I think that's another thing, is like, as long as you're in a relationship where I don't feel trapped, because I know like if Todd ever decides to like quit his job or blah blah, I would put myself in a position where I could support him again. Like, I think a relationship is all about looking after each other and not just one person benefiting. It has to be symbiosis. Like, you have to be, one of you has to be the shark and the other one has to be that little fish that sucks all the parasites off. That's how relationships should be.
I know some people who they want to both be the shark.
Well, it doesn't work if there's too many sharks.
Yeah, you end up eating each other.
Exactly.
Eating frenzy.
I guess that's our last piece of advice is don't be sharks in your relationship. You need one shark and one little
what about two
parasite eater.
Parasites?
No, because then they don't have parasites to eat, they'll starve. They'll just die.
Okay.
I don't know if those fish get their own parasites. Do they clean themselves? Cleaner wrasse, that's what they're called. Cleaner wrasse.
How many layers of parasites are there?
I don't know. If anyone studies cleaner wrasse, can you just let me know? Did they have their own parasites that the other cleaner wrasse clean? Do they clean themselves?
They'd have like germs and bacteria and stuff,
yeah,
right?
They would.
Living off them.
I don't know.
All the way down. Parasite.
So yeah, I think like. My advice is be yourself, right? Because I was so worried I would die alone because I was like, all I want to do is live in a forest, study primates, and I don't expect to meet any man. I was so true to myself, and I have a really happy relationship. And I think from what Todd said about like seeing me in my element, if somebody really loves you, they will see what makes you happy and they'll want to support you in that. And at the same time, like, I was a bit selfish in the beginning because I was really prioritizing my future, and I didn't want any like 2-second relationship to stop me doing an amazing honors project that was going to set me instead for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in a relationship, you need to be looking after each other to make sure both parties get to achieve whatever dreams they want.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it is possible.
If you meet someone who says to you, nah, why you keep caring about the drafts? Who cares, you know? Come with me and have a normal life.
Screw them.
Yeah, dump them.
I mean, don't screw them, but like, screw them. Like, you need somebody that supports your dreams and is willing to tough it out in the beginning for a bit. Like, Todd and I did long distance. Now we don't really have to as much anymore. But like, because we did it so much then, we know if Todd has to go away for work or if I have to go away for a conference, there's no jealousy or worry or anything because we have a solid relationship where we can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, just be yourself, and if you're attractive enough on the inside, people will know. It's not like you're not a stripper. You don't have to send a body shot to anyone, and they don't have to approve you. Like, you are approved. Tick. Just by being yourself.
Yeah. If you haven't found someone, that's fine. It's mostly luck, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Bumping into someone.
Exactly. Like, how do you even meet anybody nowadays? Because Todd and I met each other just as Tinder was becoming popular, but we never used the apps before. Like,
Yeah.
Todd is a friend of a friend. So it just is like, he was already approved by friends. He was already in my proximity. Like, I don't know how
That's sort of how you do it in, like, college, university.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Friends of friends.
Friends of friends.
You meet at a party.
But now it's like hard because the more adulty you get, the less your friend groups are like so sparse with all your networks and your little like synapses pulsing around.
There's much less patience for people you don't really like that much.
Yeah.
To hang out with.
I don't know. Like, this is good because I don't want this to happen. But in the past 5 years we've been together, there's never been anyone that I'm like, oh yeah, if I wasn't with Todd, it could have ended up like this. Like if we didn't get together, I don't even know if I would have a relationship. But like, as I am in one, I'm not actively looking or pursuing other people, so you don't know.
It's reassuring to hear.
You're welcome. So I guess like in the end, just be yourself. Don't take shit from anyone. Pursue your career and just like let the ride happen. You never know what's gonna happen. Like, you might think you're gonna die alone. You probably won't. Unless COVID goes on for so long and everyone has to be stuck inside for the rest of their lives, then like, I can't promise anything.
Yeah.
But that's not about conservation. That's about a pandemic. Like,
everyone.
you're not at a disadvantage for being a conservationist.
Yeah.
In that situation.
What's that really cringy saying? Be yourself because everybody else is already taken? Well, maybe if you be yourself, you'll get a higher chance of being taken. I don't know how it works. If you want to hear more from lonely conservationists around the world, check out the website www.lonelyconservationist.com. Check us out on social media at Lonely Conservationist on Instagram and at Lonely Conserve on Twitter. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/lonelyconservationist, and check out the book wherever you get your books. And remember, if you have a mum, give her the book. We want those mum reviews. I'll catch you next week. That's all for now. Bye.